movies. I am the king of this domain.
The only way you're getting your son back is if you and I play a little basketball.
Wait. I'm a cartoon?
Meh. What's up, Doc?
We haven't hung in 5 years. I miss you guys. We need a girls' trip. This weekend is about us. We deserve this, so let's go.
Yeah. Destiny said you gotta get up and get.
So, for starters, did you always want to become a filmmaker? Was that always your intention, or was that a decision you made relatively late in your teenage years?
From a very early age, I was interested in many things: acting, drawing, creating stories, writing, and film was not a thing until I saw my cousin making movies. My cousin Spike Lee, and so he made it very real as a job. I didn't think of movies as something like She's Gotta Have It or School Days. Movies were always like Jaws and E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark and Star Wars. So after having seen it happen up close and working with him, I knew by the age of 19, which was the end of my freshman year, that I wanted to be a filmmaker.
What style, I'd say, of directing would you say works for you? Makes everything flow the best, produces the best result?
Okay, well, here's what I would say. I think you got to surround yourself with good people. That means, people who behind the camera and in front of the camera. If you're fortunate enough to get somebody else to pay for a movie that you're doing, surround yourself with people that have been there before. Surround yourself with people who have experience that can help you achieve your vision, because you have to have the vision as the filmmaker, but you also have to allow other people in to help you achieve that vision and communicate very clearly what your vision is, know what you want. I think that goes for, telling your actors, giving them confidence and gaining their trust. That also goes for your production designer and your costume designer and your casting director and your producing partner, and certainly your director of photography. In communicating with them what you want or what you're trying to achieve, they can help you achieve your vision or even a better version of your vision.
Right. I will say, in myself directing so far in my life, I've used to be a very controlling type of director. I'd want to do everything. I'd want to, do this, do cinematography, do writing, do the acting, do everything. But I found, throughout multiple films that I do want to do less. I do want to trust people. I think that's like the strongest thing you could do. So I do agree with that. That's pretty cool.
I think it's okay and natural for you to want to do it all yourself. That you have that strong vision, and if you can have a skill level in all those things, that's a great. You're making yourself a great asset, no matter what you decide to pursue, and even have something to fall back on. But yes, it is very important to get people on your team that can help you achieve your vision.
Right.
And let them do their job.
I know you've done a lot of production jobs, and you're then mostly directing. What would you say is the difference, if there is a difference, between being a producer and being a director of a project?
Well, you're a producer, or as a producer, you're responsible for bringing the whole thing together. And there's different kinds of producers, but you're certainly responsible for shepherding the idea, the script that turned into a script. So you got to hire the screenwriter, you got to hire the director, you got to get the financing for the project, and you have to see it all come to fruition under budget or at budget, and deliver something that you promised to the studio, that you sold, or to your financier. I don't want to say studio. And as a director, it is your job to tell the story that they hired you for, to have the vision, to work with the actors, You have to be, sure about what you want. I think that sometimes it's a fine line between producer and director, but it's the director's job to present the movie. And to make the movie. That is their job. And as far as marketing is concerned, as far as promotion, as far as getting extra dollars, that's the producer's job. If the director's like, I need to have this shot before we lose the sunlight, then that's the director's job. And it's the producer's job to say, okay, well, we're gonna go overtime here and this, we'll deal with it. So it's the producer's job to solve problems, and sometimes directors make problems.
How has your life experiences, everything you've gone through in your life, translated into your work today?
I think particularly because I'm a writer, the characters, the dialogue will come from me, and from things I've heard or things I've researched, or things I've experienced. You bring all that sensibility, and also your whatever you want to present to the world. How the world comes at you is often how you want to come at the world. And what I particularly because I consider myself a conscious person, the images that are put out, particularly when it comes to African American men and women, and boys and girls, I want to present an image that is fuller, not necessarily positive. I remember when I was, coming up as a filmmaker, it was like, oh, we want to see positive image of Black people, and I'm down for that, but I'd rather show something that's as authentic as possible with flaws, because everyone is a flawed human being. So there's what are the reasons behind their circumstances or their behavior or their mindset.
I've been told a lot, not a lot in my life, rarely, on to make my dreams a little smaller. If you ask a dream, my dad says dreams are really goals. Any dream that you have is supposed to be a goal. So I view me becoming, a director of your caliber, to be a goal instead of a dream. Do you think young filmmakers such as myself or even younger should be, I say, making your dreams a little smaller when it comes to that?
No, I mean, I think dream big, dream big, but know that it's going to take a while to get to that ultimate dream, right? Like these things take time. Nobody is an overnight success. Success doesn't happen, automatically. And it's, if you keep working hard, you keep developing your craft, bigger things will happen. I never thought I was going to do a movie like Space Jam, but I had prepared myself to do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of people right now who are like coming out of film school, getting that one Sundance movie, and then, they're being offered like the big, blockbuster, 4-quadrant movie that's going to trying to make $1 billion at the box office.
Yeah.
And some people can handle that. Not everybody can. So you have to prepare yourself. You have to also be patient. Doesn't mean you have to, douse your dreams but I think you dream big, but manage your expectations.
Right.
I think it's a matter of what can I achieve? Like, I thought by the time I was 25, I was a failure, right? I had made Orson Welles had made, Citizen Kane by 25, and John Singleton had made Boys in the Hood by 22. And I was like, well, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't I getting a shot?
Right.
It happens when it's supposed to happen.
Right. How have you felt you've developed in your directing career when it comes to managing, personalities to have a good work environment?
I try to treat everybody with respect. I think that's the main thing, from the intern to the producer, try to speak to everyone, treat everybody with respect. people want to be seen, people want to be acknowledged for their work, right? And so for me, we start with that. When it comes to the actors, the main thing that you have to do is get their trust. They're out there, they're vulnerable, they're in front of the camera, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, perform, do the right, say these words, do these actions. And that's a lot of pressure for people. Some are better at it than others. And they want to feel safe to do their best work because it's going to be forever. So you have to make sure that the environment is safe and trustworthy, and an environment that's giving and supportive. And so like that's also part of my job. And you're managing a lot of personalities. Sometimes you just got to say, well, let's take this personality out of the equation because they're not working here. Like let's. Sometimes that happens. You have to, make adjustments.
What is it like working with all those VFX? Like you got to have a lot of imagination, I'm assuming, to be able to, couldn't like make shots around that and do all that stuff.
Because I was working with experienced people, because I had enough experience as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. You have a lot of discussions about what it's going to look like, because you storyboard it and you do animatics to like, and pre-visualization that help you like, okay, guide you to know, oh, well, we got to make room for this. And that's where the communication comes in. When you're talking to your visual effects director, and you're talking to your animation director, and you're talking to your director of photography, your camera operator, and your assistant director, to let them know, okay, this is what's happening on this shot, and so you account for all those things. And, your script supervisor is there to like tell you, okay, well, that wasn't quite it, or whatever, like the eye line was. So it's really no different than working on other movies. Yes, you have to have a certain imagination, but you pre-visualized the bulk of it.
Right.
So, and you have a lot of support that says, okay, like this is how we're going to do this thing.
When you're an indie filmmaker, you're making a lot of very small things, very small productions. Mainly, they're all from just the filmmakers who are doing it. I do believe it's an important thing to kind of know the foundation before you go off and do those big blockbusters. How important do you think it is to do those small films in relation to the big ones that you can do later?
Well, I mean, you gotta kind of do what you know, right? And also do what you love. You mentioned the word foundation. Getting a strong foundation and working on your craft, and taking those opportunities to look through the camera and compose a shot, to tell your story filmically. How can I, edit your story, write your story, direct actors. Any opportunity you get to do that is a good one. Is a good opportunity, and will help the building blocks for what you want to achieve later on. And your goal may not be to make a blockbuster movie. It might be to make small indie movies, and that's great. Or do television, and then that's also great. I think that you have to find time to develop your own interpretation of style and storytelling that you want to do. Right. Yes, there's plenty of places that we borrow from this movie and we borrow from that filmmaker, and or this particular shot in the movie, and that's okay. But you have to, you take parts from other people, but you also got to develop your own style, and that's what these building blocks and these shorts are all about. You do have to find your own tone and your own, way of working, and your own techniques. And doesn't mean that you're going to reinvent the wheel. Certain things, certain stuff in filmmaking is basic. Okay, like make sure it's in focus. Do a single on somebody. Do an over the shoulder. Do a 50-50 shot. I mean, let's do a tracking shot here. And so, you have to know, what are you trying to say with it? What's the purpose of this scene?
Right.
Why does this advance the story? Where is this character at, in the arc of his or her journey? And how can you tell that story filmically? Who are the characters? Where are they at? What do they want? And try to tell that story within that scene.
How big of a role did NYU play into the filmmaker you are now?
That's an interesting question. I think being around other filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers was invaluable. I think having access to equipment was invaluable. And I think it's very good for people to work in different capacities in filmmaking, and have that opportunity to do other jobs and work for other people.
Right.
And again, you learn a lot from your classmates. So like that was cool for me.
I will say in art and design, that's one of the biggest benefits I would say I got from the school, was being around people that had these creative minds. And sophomore year, I was very detached, I would say, from everybody else, because I wasn't used to that environment. I grew up in Bronx schools. In junior year, I would say I began to see these people as, friends, as people, future co-workers possibly. And just that environment kept making me want to film and made me want to write. Usually people ask the question, what would you now say to your younger self? I thought I'd spin it a little bit. What do you think the you who, just came out of NYU, just started getting directing jobs, what do you think he would think of you now?
It's funny. I think I'd certainly be impressed. I'd be impressed. I would be. It almost be like, you directed Space Jam, like the sequel to Space Jam. I'd be pretty surprised. I'm glad I didn't know that. That I would go there. Because if you think something's going to happen, you won't work as hard.
Right.
There are things that I've had disappointments in my career early on, lots of rejections. I heard no plenty, and it was discouraging, but I believed in what I wanted to present to the world. I believed in my ability. I was fortunate, to have the disappointments and have the failures and have the rejections, because it didn't make me. It just made me try to come at it again stronger, and and continue to make mistakes, but you just got to keep learning from it.
I think when it comes to anything, any type of career, industry, or anything, there's the people who succeed, or the people when they get told no, it's more of a yes that you have to keep pushing forward. I think in the film industry, I've been told a lot that once you get into it, you got to get used to being told no. You got to get used to all that stuff. Is that you get told no, makes you work even harder on that next script, makes you work even harder on that next film.
It should, you know what I mean? Like, that's, again, if you believe in what you're doing, and that you want it for the right reasons because you love it, you don't try to go into this thing trying to make money. Right. You want to do it because you love to do it. It's a hard job, but it's extremely rewarding. Right. But you have to love it, and you have to be dedicated to it and not give up, because it's too easy to say no.
It's really easy to say, I give up because they say no, but it's really hard to say, oh, they said no. Keep pushing. That's the hardest thing.
Gotta keep pushing.